What time is it?
Yo, what's
Okay, we have some fabulous live music later on, but right now, here's the kind I prefer.
What's up here on WestCoastStyles.com on our YouTube channel here, and we have our special guest. D-Smoke is in the house.
Hey,
What's up,
salute,
Smoke?
salute. What's up, Styles? Man, nothing much, and a lot at the same time. Just been grinding, man.
Yo,
How you been?
Good, brother, man. We're glad to have you on. Man, we're really proud of all the things that you've been doing and just rising up on the West Coast and representing us. Man, so we're just going to get into this interview here. You being from Inglewood, you mostly think of like the blood rappers and the gangster rappers, but your type of, hip hop, you're really breaking the stereotype of what Inglewood rap is. Why don't you tell us about that, please?
Well, yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing is I grew up on that brand of gangster rap, and I loved it. You know what I'm saying? So to just be like, oh man, that rap was wrong, and that's not quite where I come from. It actually shaped a lot of like who I am. I grew up on Dog Pound and Mac 10, and on both sides. So it was like from the Bloods being like my older brother being a Blood to like the Dog Pound and all that, West Coast Crip music, being some of my favorite West Coast stuff.
Yeah.
It was, that still shaped a lot of who I was and how I moved through the world. However, it was my family experience that gave me the ammunition, so to speak, to approach music a different way. A lot of people get like the music itself raises them altogether. Some people aren't privileged like I am to have like a full family and all that. So what they hear in the music, they go out and they do exactly that. Whereas I had the music plus my family upbringing, so in middle school, private school experience. Of course, in high school, I went to Inglewood High. So, I love that. I love that music. I feel like it comes from a real place. And if you walk the streets like me and my brothers did, then that, that's still real. That's still real music. It's just that I think exposure is key. So my perspective that I was able to pick up from having that wholesome home upbringing is something I don't want to share into my music. In addition to touching on some of those topics, the gangster shit, the West Coast culture, and all of that.
Nick, you brought up your family. Nick, you had some questions about his family, correct?
Yeah. First of all, man, congratulations on the project. Phenomenal project. I still bump it to this day.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
You come from such a gifted musical family, obviously yourself included. How did that take shape as far as finding your own identity musically?
Man, that kind of happens naturally. I was surrounded by music. My uncle was a bass player, and is that the video playing in the background? We could touch that a little bit. I was like, that's my brother's voice right there. But no, like we was around it all the time. As early as I can remember, I would just watch my mom at home play and sing her heart out. And it was just like, it blew me away. Like, wow, what is this? And it wasn't until I was probably like 8, 9 years old that I realized like not everybody's family was like mine, because it just became so common. But my older brother Davion, he could sing his ass off. So we all grew up singing, but just that being his lane, I naturally veered away from it. Like, all right, you got that, bro. I can't really mess with you in that regard, And then Sir, he sang as well, but Sir, he had a very different soulful crooner, kind of raspy, deep voice. So they're just like polar opposites vocally. So you just kind of naturally find your way. When you got so many siblings around, you got to find your niche, your lane, and then and play that. My uncle plays bass, my grandmother plays and sings, my mom plays and sings. I play and rap and sing, dabble here and there, but it's just part of what naturally happens. Everybody find their lane.
Absolutely. As a quick follow-up, you talked about growing up in that family, but also what was it like for you growing up in Inglewood? Just for people that don't understand, what the time frame was. Obviously, we listen to your record, we can get a dose of it. But what was it like for you growing up? And at what point did you realize, okay, music is the avenue that I'm going to travel down and be in rap, so to speak?
Man, you know what? I chose music super early. I remember like at as early as 6 years old, I was like, oh, I want to be a classical pianist. You know what I'm saying? Then at 10, I was like, I saw my uncle make a beat at his house, and he let me make a beat on his equipment at 10 years old. I was like, okay, now I want to be a producer. And so I chose it early, but growing up in Inglewood was more so like it was that sauce, that seasoning, that marinade to the art form. You know what I'm saying? That Inglewood was the real experience that made the art about something versus just doing music for music's sake. You know, Inglewood was like, oh wait, this is a dynamic world. It's good, bad, it's humorous, it's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like like when I hit 16, like the day I hit 16, I got my license. And the reason being is because I caught the bus everywhere in Inglewood. And it was just that, you know, cars pulling up. I'm 15 years old and niggas already, you know, you already hear homies getting shot and shit like that. So it's like it's a different level of awareness that you have walking through the streets, you know, just even when you planning your outfit, you know what I'm saying? If you catching a bus, there's certain stuff you're not gonna be caught on the bus stop wearing.
115.
Especially you might even, and if you walking home with a certain group of people that y'all walk with, you might hit them and be like, hey, what y'all about to wear? Because if we all footing it, we can't stumble up and be like, damn, we all just wore all red on accident. You know what I'm saying? Which happened before too. You know, it's been shit that happened where, you know, I was walking, we was blued up one day. And then we was over here walking through one of the few Crip neighborhoods in Inglewood. And we thinking, all right, we should be good. We over in the Crip section. And the Bloods came through looking for them like, fuck y'all. You know what I'm saying? So they thought we was them. And we was so confused because, you know, we wasn't banging that when they swerved on us, we thought they was just hitting donuts. So we sitting there watching like, oh, cool. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, they hopping out. Next thing you know, they hopping out the windows of the car, like climbing up and sitting on the windowsill with pistols all in their lap, like banging they shit, you know. And then we looked around like, oh shit, that's for us, right? You know what I'm saying? So we just froze like, hey bro, that ain't us. So they got a good look at us because they wasn't but 20 feet from us. Got a good look at our faces. And you know, I'm looking at all of them like, whoa. So then I look at one and I recognize him like, oh shit, I got class with him, you know. And then he basically turned to the other dudes like, hey bro, that's not the, like he panics damn near like, no, that ain't them. Like, no, because they was about to start busting, you know. So but shit like that happened, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that happen all the time, bro. And so your awareness, like we don't have the luxury of naivety. You know what I'm saying? We can't believe in Santa Claus till we 18 years old. We can't, you know what I'm saying? We learn how to move through the world. We learn how to be aware of ourselves and our environment, and we learn how to make adjustments. And so that's what, you know, Inglewood seasoned my my music with reality. You know, we got a big dose of reality coming up.
Did you ever consider that gangster lifestyle, being around it so much? Like, did you ever consider turning in that direction?
Man, you know what? I had reached crossroads several times where it was like, all right, either we go this way or we go this way. And the thing is, it's not so much the first thing to entice people to gangbanging isn't like shooting people. It's camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? It's the sense of belonging. It's the culture of it. You know, you see the dances and you see the colors before you see the guns and you know, the enemies and shit, you know. So of course, me being in that environment, of course you're aware of it, and I'm to a certain extent enticed by it. But again, I had options. I had pops in the house. So it's certain things I can't come home and just explain to pops like, you know, he ain't trying to have that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why again, I was always one step away from it. My older brother banged because he's 10 years older than me, and when I was like all up until I was 8, my pops was locked up. But it was all up until he was 18. So it's a different set of years where it's like you start feeling yourself as a young man and ain't nobody to help you there to help you guide that energy. That's when that starts happening. But I got, and just to say, because I didn't gangbang like Bloods or Crips or families or all that stuff. It didn't. That didn't mean that I didn't have my phone calls that I would make if something came to it, or the people that I would pull up with. You know what I'm saying? Like, gangs is the main story, like the main narrative that people get. But below that, it's all kind of crews, cliques, sets, and I got mine that I run with. You know what I'm saying? And those who know what's up, and those who don't, they may find out. So, so it's. But the matter of it, the politics of gangbanging is different. Like the politics of gangbanging is if somebody asks you where you from, you're supposed to tell them I'm from this. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you roll with your folks that got your back and they with all the shits too, if you roll with them, the politics might be different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Go get your money, go to college, do your stuff. But if you got any issues, hit us. So that's a lot of that's the gray area that people don't know, because they made gangbanging mainstream. It became marketable. So they was like, oh, let's push the Bloods and the Crips, like Democrats and Republicans. You know what I'm saying? But it's all kind of independent parties that, in the streets that people don't even know about. So
it'd
be like,
wow.
that.
So it's instead of a gangbanger on the street, we've got a teacher now in school teaching kids. Incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Man, why don't you tell us about your teaching experience with the youth and all that, please?
Oh man, I can't tell you about that without smiling, man. Teaching is teaching is the hardest thing a person could ever do, and it's also the most rewarding, beautiful experience anybody can have, and I say that without reserve. I first taught at Inglewood High. I got into teaching because when I went to college, I had a full academic scholarship. I was the dude that at Inglewood High that would like catch my fair ones, so everybody would leave me alone, and then do all my work and ace tests. You know what I'm saying? Like, and my teachers respected me because I'm Chucks in a hoodie every day. Like, man, I ain't worried about it. I wasn't the kid with Jordans, So they would be like, man, how do you keep it like super cool and hood, but like smash academically, right? So when I got to UCLA, I was like, man, I don't need no job. I got a full academic ride, and I'm gonna just worry about my music and get my degree. But my mentor, this dude named Julian Gordon, he hired me to work for a nonprofit, and so he had a site at my old high school. So soon as I get to college, they're taking bands twice a week to go tutor and do after school work. So I'm back at Inglewood High doing that. I ended up, getting bit by the bug, falling in love with the work. And then for all 4 years, I did try to get youngsters into college and whatnot. So that was my transition into teaching. I was offered a job from that principal, like, hey, look, when you're done with that after school program, come holler at me. You could be a teacher because you got a Spanish degree.
Wow.
So that's what I did. And then, while I was there, I did mentorship, working with the young men and women, character development, field trips, all kind of stuff, and I was that teacher that, if you had an issue with me, I would, we'd step outside and we talk, you know what I'm saying? Away from away from the scenery of everybody all in your business, and we like level, you know what I'm saying? Because if you show students respect, then they'll give it back. So that was how I operated. But it was a good time.
That's pretty dope. I mean, I never had a teacher like that when I was in school. When I was in school, it was either the old grandma or the cranky old ass dude, but never, a dope young hip hop minded individual. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty dope for having an experience like that.
Man,
Nick, you
I had questions? A couple.
Yeah. You are also involved with some charity work. Nick, you had some questions about his charity work, I believe. Is he still there?
Hello, Nick.
Nick,
can you hear me?
I can hear him now.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to ask you really quick, because you made an interesting point, and you said how you did what you did to go home, but you smashed everything in the classroom, and I thought that was very it was a wonderful thing to hear, because I think more and more of our people need to make sure they hear that, because it's okay to be smart. It's okay to
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
the things that you need to do.
Absolutely.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is about your time at UCLA. How was that environmental change for you? How did you adjust and adapt going from Inglewood to Westwood and being in that environment?
Man, you know what? It was rough at first. I did a freshman summer program where it was like summer bridge, where it was all like blacks and Latinos in the dorms and taking a English class and a math class or something just to prepare us. And so that was kind of like, that felt like Inglewood High, like blacks and Latinos all in the same place. Okay, cool.
Mm.
Man, when fall quarter hit and everybody hit the campus, man, I was just so shocked at how many people, one, how many people didn't look like me, but two, like everybody on campus, these are the people you when you're on a campus like UCLA, like the most applied
Hmm.
to school at the time, it was the most applied to school in the world. Um, and when you're on that campus, you're literally looking at the people that run the world, you know, and to see that and then realize they 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 care so little about people like me, and not because they're bad people, but because they don't know, their experience is so far removed from ours in the hood, um and that they're going to be running the world. It's just like, it's a shock, because then it's like, all right, well, who's looking out for us,
Hmm.
who's advocating for us. So that's when I got bit by the whole like revolutionary bug, like, okay, we need to change some policies, we need to switch some things up, because
Mhm.
if I'm looking at all the decision makers for the world, and don't none of them look like me, we
Hmm.
asked out, you know, and so that's part of what got me to really work to like change admissions and get more people
Wow.
like me from my background in the school. So, and we had some success. It was, we did our share of marching, in
Hmm.
college in 2005, and so, but of course, beyond marching, there are certain conversations that need to be had, and I think that's is a good lesson to take from then for the people that are marching now. It's like, okay, we're gonna march, but then what? You know what I'm saying? Who are you talking to? How are you taking that energy and translating that into policy change? What policy do you want? If you sit down at the table now, do you know what to ask for? So um, that's kind of what UCLA taught me, and I had switched my major. I was gonna major in something else, but I saw so many people just majoring in stuff because they had to. I was like, man, if I'm gonna walk out of here, I'm gonna have something practical, and so that's why I majored in Spanish. And once I found that
Wow.
path, everything started making sense more.
What was your major before Spanish?
It was gonna be business economics, and then economics, and then I dropped that altogether. So um,
Mm.
there's no undergrad business, like full business program at UCLA. They have a
Mhm.
dope business school for grad students, but you know, so business economics, it was primarily an economics major with a couple business classes. But when I was taking those classes, it felt like the science of how to manipulate the masses, and I always sided with the masses. So I'm in class like, damn, they really teaching motherfuckers how to take advantage of large groups of people, and inherently it requires a certain degree of ignorance. So in essence, you're saying we don't want most people to have this information so we can continue to profit off of this shit. So I was in there just looking too far into shit, getting mad at everything and being like, man, I don't know if this is
Wow.
for me, so
Wow, that's
That's
crazy.
awesome, man.
I like how you include, Spanish into your raps. I think that's something,
absolutely.
especially with the relations between blacks and browns in Los Angeles. That's something that can kind of like bring us together a little bit more. Why don't you talk about that, please?
Man, you know what? So I went to, like, in fifth grade. My parents, we've been in public school all the way up until like fifth grade, and they was like, all right, our kids are smart. We want to put them in a better school. And so they put us in this school called LA Christian School, and it was primarily Latino. The classroom sizes were like 16. It was a good private school, one class per grade, and a lot of focused attention on the students. So we thrived, but it was primarily Latino. And with this small community we were in, like we're at our friend's house all the time and stuff. And their parents are speaking Spanish. And I'm just looking like, man, y'all really know another language already and y'all kids, you know? So I just felt like I was a little behind, and just my little competitive ass, overachieving kid ass self was like, all right, I got you. I'm about to learn it too. You know, thinking I'm gonna learn it in like, thinking I'm gonna learn it one word at a time, a word a day. So my friends would give me a word a day, and it didn't get me nowhere. But that's where that spark was, and I picked it back up in high school, and then in college I just went all the way. But it was
You learned all the
always
bad
like,
words. Huh?
you said what?
You learned all the
Yeah,
bad words first. Huh?
in elementary, I just used to run around being like pinche pendejo, like that was elementary. But it was it was um it was in college where I really went for it, studied abroad, studied in Costa Rica, and then just learned, learned how to really put it together. And so Inglewood, it was like 50-50. Like, no,
Mhm.
actually it was like 55% Latino, 45% black. It was so close to half and half, but the reason we knew that it was more Latino than black was the joke was, if you running for like homecoming king or queen or prom king, if you running against a Latino, you might as well chalk it up, because they're gonna vote for the Latino, and they got the
Yeah.
slight edge. So um but it was just always growing up side by side with the Latin community that was like, look, this is the sum of what Inglewood is. And you know a lot of the racial tension that we watched early in the 90s, and in gangs, and that we still see in jail and all that, a lot of that shit is so instigated by like police and the prison system that we just like, we allow it to seep into the community. So I think telling the full story of what Inglewood and what Los Angeles is, it is for damn sure inclusive of the Latin experience, and of course I'm not telling the stories of like, I'm not Latino, you know what I'm saying? I'm not telling a Latino story. I'm telling black stories in Spanish,
Sure.
in and out of Spanish, so that the people who I grow up side by side with can access it in a different way, and
That's
just
dope.
Mhm.
expose people to that, you know cross those boundaries, build those bridges, and they
Yeah.
love it. And to keep it 100, a lot of people that I get love from everybody, all different races, black, white, Asian, Latino, people in Africa. Shout out to the continent. But
Mhm.
the people that are like super excited and love what I'm doing, like you see it in their eyes. It's like the Latinos be like, "Hey, bro, what you're doing is dope." You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of things that Latinos deal with. There's this trend or this idea that Latinos, similar to Asians, have a tendency to assimilate. Some parents tell their kids like, learn English, and then you got Latinos that don't speak Spanish. So often Latinos hit me like, "Hey, bro, like you speak better Spanish than me, fool. Like, what the fuck?" you know. And so, but so to embrace it in a way that's like, artistically cool, and pushing that line, people are like, "Hey, bro, respect, man. I love that." And I'm just proud to be able to do it.
For sure, man. That's pretty cool. Nick,
Yes,
did you
sir.
want to touch on a few things?
Yeah, man. One thing I wanted to ask D Smoke. Recently, you were involved in a food drive, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal, along with the city. Can you talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that and how your involvement was a part of that?
Yeah. Well, since I was in college, I was big on health. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Preventative health, letting your food be your medicine. I never had a trust for the medical system. I think it's corrupt that the same motherfucker that can approve foods to go on the shelf is the same motherfucker that approve the medicine to cure the sickness caused by the foods they approve. Like, I never fuck with that at all. So I'm like, all right, well, we gonna eat good. But then as a teacher, like, that's while I'm on college, while I'm at UCLA, everything is readily available. Can we turn that down in my ears from the video? Um, so healthy food is readily available in places like Westwood. But um, when I'm teaching in the hood, like, I got 30 minutes to hop around the corner, grab some food, and get back, you know, and and I found my eating habits slipping. So um, I've always been big on like like one, I met a friend. Her name is Olympia. Her business is called Supermarket, and she's all about addressing the disparity between like access to healthy foods in the hood versus other neighborhoods. Like Inglewood and other places that I taught were considered a food desert. Like you can't access healthy food. So our whole goal with that event, me being long-winded, our whole goal was to bring fresh produce to the hood. You know, simply put, fresh produce and vegan meals and pre-prepared salads. So we had every table pull up. We had tender greens pull up. Uh, you know, elevated culture provided the sounds. You know, we had bags of fresh produce, mangoes, pineapples, blueberries, kale, you know, watermelons. You know, we had a lot of volunteers helping carry watermelons to the cars for the old and young ladies that didn't feel like, you know, carrying that load. So it was beautiful, man. The only thing I wished, given the COVID restrictions, the day of, we found out we couldn't like kick it on the lawn and make a real day of it. I felt like the lawn was big enough for us to hang out and social distance because it's outdoors, open air. However, they were like, you know, nope, you know, they got to get it and keep it moving. So in the future, we learned from that, you know, but it was still a beautiful event. We had good support from the city providing security, and you know, a lot of people came out, you know, so it was love.
That's phenomenal, man. I think I commend you in all your work because you've always been a man of the
Thank you,
people.
bro.
And you know,
Thank you.
growing up in Inglewood, obviously we've seen a lot of changes. We saw the departure of the Lakers and the Kings and the Forum kind of being, you know, shut down. It wasn't the Forum any
Right.
longer. But then now you see the Forum being restored. You see the $1 billion playpen known as SoFi Stadium, and then soon the Clippers are going to bring their $1 billion arena and entertainment complex to Inglewood. What are your thoughts on that,
Wait,
and
wait,
how
wait.
does that?
Not separate from the forum though.
Oh yeah, separate from the Forum. Yes, sir.
A whole nother one, like a third major space.
Yes, sir. Right across from SoFi Stadium. They're going to break ground in 2021, the summer of 2021.
My goodness. I thought that
So,
was gonna be. I thought they were gonna play at the forum.
nah, not at all. It's strictly entertainment venue. But when you see those type of venues
Damn.
popping up in Inglewood, when Inglewood had almost a negative stigma at one point in time, and you're seeing these billions of dollars being back into the city, what are your thoughts on that? Is some of it good? Is it not good? What are your thoughts on those projects coming back to the city?
My thing is, it can be good. It's not necessarily good to keep it 100. If you look at places where it happens, the effect on the people that were there
Mhm.
first is somewhat similar to, you know, settlers coming over to America talk about we found land. Like, no, motherfucker, it's people here. You know what I'm saying? However, given the right kind of accountability, if you talk to people like myself, people who have a moral commitment to making sure that Inglewood's culture is preserved and that the people who were there already um, are, you know, are provided for or have a means to provide for themselves, you know, then some things can happen because it's a lot of resources coming in. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. Like, I want to build a youth center in Inglewood. So all that money that's coming in, tell them to holler at me. So because the vision is there, we just need the space and we need the resources so that we can build something that allows for the kids to have a place to go. If sports can capitalize off of our community and our space that we're providing, building these, you know, huge venues, then the very least they can do is provide some spaces for the kids to go that are state of the art, high quality, you know, with the arts there, with that are fully staffed and things like that. So those are the things that I really believe that will make it worthwhile. And in addition to like just different spaces to that help give information about like ownership, you know, investments, financial literacy for the community. So the people that have these houses where the value is rising, they can hold on to them and make the right moves so that they can, you know, grow in wealth. Because that's all that's going to happen is you sitting on a landmine if you still got property in Inglewood.
Mhm. Okay. Let's
So
travel back to the music side for a little bit here. Okay, obviously the Netflix thing happened, the contest, the you know, you won it, worked with the,
yeah,
you know, Ti, all the big names there, Cardi B. You launched your career. Um, wow. So what a debut. You know, you come out, you know, you're blazing hot. Um, before all that though, did you ever feel competitiveness with Sir signing to a major
Go ahead.
label and you being independent still?
Um, I'm competitive by nature, right? So the way I see competition is like I can root somebody on and cheer for them and be competitive at the same time. So
Hmm.
for Sir, it was like, I've had other opportunities. I got signed as a writer, writing songs for other people, got an ASCAP award. And so my goal was always to put more people on than myself. So when Sir went, I was like, bro, this is your opportunity. Do your shit. We were roommates when he got signed to TDE. I was
Uh-huh.
like, because so my mistake was early on was trying to put people on too early, when I had an opportunity. So I told him like, this is yours. Notice that I didn't feature on anything with Sir um, until he was on my project, and it made sense for both of us. You know,
Uh-huh.
other than his early work, the work before TDE I'm on and stuff. Um, but my whole goal was to see to it that he takes that opportunity as far as it can go without
Wow.
complicating it, because I know how the politics can get. And I didn't want it to look like he's doing it just because I'm his brother. Like I believe in my own talent and my own business vision enough to go ahead and get it. And so the price, like something we say now, like the price for a feature is mutually beneficial. Like if
Hmm.
it's not even, and that's short nobody. If it's my brother, is it mutually beneficial? And right now, me and Sarah at a point in our careers where it makes sense for both of us.
Hmm.
So, um, but so yes, I was competitive. Like, okay, I just learned. I was never toxic. Like, oh man, see, I'm supposed to be like, nah, that shit is for the birds. Like, I celebrated my bro winning. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
showed up deep cheering. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
he when he went on tour, I was like, man, go. He's like, who should I bring on tour? I was like, man, bring a drummer because that's gonna turn the energy up. He was like, I want you to come. So he took me on tour. I was playing keys for him when he opened up for Miguel, and so we saw the whole country. And of course
Wow.
there were a couple cities where us being brothers and collaborators, we had to butt heads,
Hmm.
and we was about ready to go blows because it's like, okay, you the artist, my nigga, but we gonna have some respect. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be respect in this motherfucker,
Yeah.
So um but so but it was always, me and Sir have that type of relationship where we know how to walk that fine line of we're brothers, but we both work hard enough to where it's like nobody's taking advantage of anybody. Nobody feels jealous because we believe in our ability to go get it. So
Yeah, yeah. Now,
yeah.
let me ask you this: do you think that confidence of touring helped you with your when you were on Netflix and with that contest, the being on
Absolutely.
stage?
Absolutely. Just observing. You see so much on tour, being on stage, um, meeting a gang of people, and it's a act, it's a matter of staying balanced and staying centered. And with so much going on that show, my whole goal was they gonna get the same energy from me every episode. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
be a funny guy one day and then a mean guy the other day, the two gangster, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all
Yeah.
gonna get the same shit. I'm gonna show up, I'm
Right.
gonna fuck shit up on stage, and then I'm gonna be soon as the lights go down and it's no longer performance time, I'm gonna be chill, Daniel. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely all that I saw, that's why I show a lot of love to the TDE crew. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot being around there, Uh, and they gave me a lot of opportunities just to observe and soak up. And so once I got on that show, I just knew what I wanted to do. I had a very strong sense of direction and purpose.
Mhm. One thing I wanted to ask you about is, when you were on stage at the BET and you performed for BET, you were on stage with your mother. What was
Yes.
that like? I mean, this is the woman that raised you, that fed you, that clothed you, that
Yeah.
did everything for you, and now you're on stage with this wonderful woman. That's got to be like a mind blowing experience.
Man, nothing short of it. Nothing short of it. It's a blessing to look over and see somebody who is the reason why why we have musical talent. Like she literally sat us down and around the piano and taught us everything she knew by the time we was like 10, you know. And so um and I always as a kid, my mom's level of talent, I always likened it to somebody like Whitney Houston or something, man. Like just watching her sing. I really thought Whitney Houston was my auntie just because my mom was who she was, you know. And so um I always felt like she deserved to be in that on the highest platforms and things like that. So to be able to put her in a place where people can see and appreciate her as a woman, as a mother, and as an artist as well, you know, that's an honor for me. Um, yeah, because she's always been dope. You know what I'm saying? Like she could sit down and own an audience by herself, playing keys and singing. You know, so that's it was a dope experience, definitely.
Okay, that's awesome, man. So you dropped your album. I understand you're working on something new now.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
what
Yep.
can we look forward to, please?
You can look forward to this one. I have some features that I'm super excited about. Um, I can't tell you what those are,
Nah,
but
it's all right.
it's some features on here. Of course, you got me and my brother Sir. We do some music again on this one. I got back with a lot of the same people,
Uh-huh.
in terms of production. My boy Jason Pounds I'm in there with him right now, doing some work. Uh, my boy DK the Punisher. I'm with him. I got with Battle Cat again,
All right, yeah.
and so I got with my boy Siege Monstrosity, and then I got with a young kid named Justice West. Incredible talent. He's a guitar player and a producer, and so um, it's really I also got with my boy Phonics, and Lawrence from 1500. So it's
Okay.
I got some good, really good music. Some of my favorite albums aren't even rap albums. So I always want to add the element of music, making it listenable and soulful, and
Yeah.
then make sure that the writing on top is solid. So I think it's going to show a whole lot of growth, and people going to be pleased with what we put out.
Do we have a release date for it yet, or
Not yet, not yet.
not yet? Okay, so we don't know.
Not yet.
Okay,
No.
all right. So
No.
some stay tuned type of thing.
Stay
Nick, is
tuned.
there anything
Stay
you want to
tuned.
ask before we end?
Just two quick questions. One,
Yeah.
you're working with so many incredibly talented producers uh, on this current project and obviously on your next project. Are there any producers that, if you had 5 producers you wanted to work with, who would they be and why?
Man. Well, to keep the 5 that I'm not working with, because I'm working with the ones I want to work
Yeah,
with.
5 that you're not
But
working with.
I'm gonna just say the ones that I grew up on. I've gotten in the studio with Dr. Dre.
Wow.
Um, I have. We've done some work, and but that would definitely be somebody I work with again. Um, I grew up on Timberland, so I would love to
Mm,
work with Timberland.
So
I'm a huge fan of Dark Child. Um, I'm a huge fan of Warren Campbell, and
okay.
I work with Battle Cat, but Battle Cat got to be on there. Pharrell, you know what I'm saying? Like it's those people that change music.
absolutely, man. Great
Yeah,
list.
yeah,
And then also too, what's next for you? Because you, like I said, you do such incredible work in the
yeah.
community. I mean, it seems like it's a new wave of young artists that are being not just about the music, but more about
Hmm.
the community and the people itself. I mean, we see Sticks, what he's done in the community of
Yeah.
Watts and surrounding areas, yourself, the late great Nipsey Hussle, what he was doing in his community.
Rest in peace.
Um, what's
Yeah.
what's next for you as far as community wise?
Community wise, we gonna build that youth center, and we gonna build that ground up. So that's my main project that I'm working on for that. And in addition to that, I got other content coming out. Like I have literature that I'm working on, and film things that I'm working on. So those are some things that I look forward to introducing as well.
Great.
Outstanding, man.
Yep.
Well, Smoke,
Yes,
thank you for
sir.
your time. We really appreciate you coming on live with us. We're gonna just support everything you do. We got your back on this. So just keep up the good
Appreciate
work,
that.
and man, just thank you again. All
Hey
right.
man, thank y'all for having me.
Hey man, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on, brother. Really.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure speaking with y'all, man. We're gonna tap back in.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
it. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for tuning in.
What time is it? Okay, we have some fabulous live music later on, but right now, here's the kind I prefer.